I'm just past, what do we got? Almost 7. So 29. I'm on 29 hours of a 72-hour fast.
Yeah. I do, I fast, like, uh, every day, but, like, intermittent, so once I hit
Yeah.
my eating
Yeah.
window I've been, like, kinda bad about it, though, lately, just because 'cause I've been working super jacked up hours, or it's not jacked up, but it's not ideal for what I was doing before, so
Yeah, yeah. And it changes all the time. Like, how
yeah,
often do you get a shift change?
no, my shift is set, like, it's the same, but, I get off at, like, midnight, and so I was doing from, like, 11 to 7, I would eat, and now I
Okay.
get it'll be, like, 9 o'clock, and I'm still hungry because 'cause I'm, like, working and doing stuff, and so it's hit and miss, but then I won't eat till, like, 1 or 2 sometimes in the afternoon now, so I guess it kinda makes up.
Yeah, like, I'm in this place where I'm trying to figure it out because what I typically do right now is wake up in the morning and I drink coffee, and then I may or may not have some food, but probably not usually. And then I'm not hungry until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like not just hungry, it's like, hey, your body's in shutdown mode, right? Because you've had nothing except stimulants all day.
Yeah.
And then I'll eat something that I can get, I'll have to go buy something or get something from the kitchen at work. And then I go train. And then I come home and I either don't eat anything after that or I eat a burrito and some horchata from Adalberto's on my way home, and then go to bed, right? And then do the whole thing again. So like my food has been so messed up and my body it just doesn't like it, and so I started down this road of like eliminating anything packaged, right? Like I won't eat candy anymore that comes in a package. I'm trying not to eat products or food that comes in a package. I'm trying to stick to like whole one ingredient foods as much as possible. But I didn't want to go into like a major overhaul of the diet without like a cleanse. And I've never done a
Yeah.
72-hour fast before. So, but my wife does them. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pull the trigger. So yesterday after class, we had lunch and then we got done eating lunch at 2. So I haven't eaten anything since 2 p.m. yesterday.
Okay.
Uh, and they say, everybody told me like the first 12 to, well, the first 12 to 16 hours were going to be like where you feel the things starting to creep up, right? Like you're going to have the worst like craving issues and stuff because you're just used to eating. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I figured if I do it at 2, then by the time the 12th hour hits, it's like 2 in the morning, right? I'm asleep. So maybe I won't have to deal with it as much or whatever. And then I came through that and it was like, okay, this isn't bad. And I realized like my body is so used to my horrible eating patterns that it's not really affecting me physically too much. I'm a little bit tired today. But other than that, I don't feel like trash. My stomach doesn't hurt. I'm not feeling nauseous or anything. It's like just the normal feeling of being hungry that I have every
Yeah.
day, you know? Um,
But you can have
so I'm
water?
interested to see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've been drinking water. I did decide not to cut out coffee completely. So I had a cup of black coffee this morning, which is unusual because I usually am like a cream and sugar guy for sure,
Okay.
but I cut that out. So I just drank black coffee and I've had basically coffee and water with electrolytes today. That's all I'm
Alright.
doing.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
black coffee. Normally, that's how I have mine, but I have too much of it, so
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking that's like I wanted to get there anyway. If I'm gonna keep coffee in, it's the other stuff that makes me feel worse. But I'm also trying to be way more intentional with my my wake up routine. So I'm trying to wake up with sunlight coming in the windows.
Mm,
I'm trying to wake up and not look at my phone for a while, like drink some water first before my coffee. I'm trying to be really intentional with all that stuff, but to lower my cortisol levels. 'Cause
yeah.
I just feel like I've got the effects of cortisol. We talked about it a little bit, me, Chris, and,
Yeah, no,
Jordan
I
on the
was
last
listening to that
episode.
one, and it
Okay.
was so I listened to a few of, Huberman Lab. Have you listened to his stuff?
A little bit, yeah.
So it lined up a lot with that stuff, and, like, that's when I first started messing around with intermittent fasting, and,
Okay.
I just, like I love having coffee, like, first thing, so I'm like, I'm
Me
just not
too,
gonna
man.
I'm not gonna do it, so it's like choices.
Yeah, yeah. So you give yourself an 8-hour window and you do 16/8.
Uh, for a while, I was doing really good. Now it's like it kind of varies, but I try not to eat until I've worked out and or gone to jits. So,
Okay,
like, I won't if I'm gonna work out or go to jits, I usually get those knocked out, just fasted, and then
okay,
I'll eat after that, and I'll eat till, like, whenever, and now you if I'm on a day off, it's a lot easier, I'll go,
sure.
like I do, I'll usually stop by 7 or 8 depending what we're doing, but work days is just a little harder because 'cause I'm up doing stuff and, like, I get home and I'm like, I am hungry and I just don't wanna go to bed hungry. So,
Yeah, yeah, I get that. How, so have you noticed a difference in your energy levels when you train empty versus when you train having already eaten something in the morning?
oh, absolutely. So, for my whole life, like, I would wake up and go down and eat immediately, like, that was the first thing that I did, and
Yeah,
then when I
yeah.
started doing this, um it totally changed everything, and I actually feel better working out and rolling when I haven't eaten. Like, if I eat
Uh,
now before I do anything, I just feel, like, sluggish and, um, just kinda, like, that full feeling, every once in a while, I make a night class, and I've, like, eaten an hour before, and I just it does not
yeah.
feel good now. But normally, like,
Yeah,
I can go like, today I was probably on the mats for 2 hours at open mat, and,
okay.
um, we got done about 1, and I was fine. No energy problems. Yeah, it feels good.
Are you good at making sure you stay hydrated?
With coffee, but no, not with water. No, like, uh
Dude, I'm the worst. I'm the
yeah.
worst, and I feel it all the time, and I'm like, "Man, I gotta do something about it," and then I just never do. It's the dumbest thing.
I guess I'm
So,
just used to it because, like, I just don't
even with
if
all
I
that
start
sweating, like, do you sweat a lot?
yeah. Oh, yeah. So
That's
it must
crazy,
be
man.
like I'm hydrated enough,
It must be.
because if I get dehydrated, I feel that, and I'm like, "Oh, I really need to be focused on it," but for the most part, like, I'll have my coffee, um, morning up until midday, and then I have, like, bubbly drinks or liquid
Oh, yeah.
deaths, so I don't
Yep.
really have, like I don't drink much soda or I don't do energy drinks really, like, once in a blue moon, I'll have one, so it's,
Yeah,
I guess
same.
I'm hydrating, it's just I don't have, like, a ton of water.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like I have one of those, like, overactive sweat glands as soon as I get on the mat, like, my gis on, I start getting hot. I'm like, "Okay." Like, before we even start doing anything, like, when Julio and I roll no-gi, it looks like we just got out of a pool. It's so gross.
Yeah, it
It's
seems
so
like
gross.
I think it seems like you sweat more in no-gi because there's no gi to suck it up.
That
Like, the
could
gi
be. You
sucks
could be right about that.
all the sweat up. I mean, I'll lose, for me, like, probably 2 or 3 pounds normally when I'm rolling just in water weight,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
That's
gi
wild. How
soaks it
long have
up.
you been training?
Mm, about 20 years. So I
Okay.
first started in 2005 with Wade. Um,
Oh,
Brandon was
okay.
there at the time. Brandon was a blue belt when I started, and I think he
Okay.
was fighting at that time. Um, and then I did it for like 6 months, stopped for a little while, and then I started again for like 6 months at Ultimate Fitness, just for
Mm,
6 months. Stopped, and then since about 2008, I've been going consistently. So, um,
yeah.
you know, original time, but is over 20 years, but wasn't fully training that whole time.
What year did you get your black belt?
2018.
Okay. Cool.
And when did you come to Aries? Just was it in 18 or 19?
It was 19, but like
Okay.
right at the beginning. So
So I
probably like late January of
so I
2019.
just gotten it then, like October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. What originally drew you into it? Like what got you to Wade's place?
UFC. I
Yeah.
watched a it was one of the fights. It was James Irvin, or I forget if it's James Irvin or Irwin. And he fought Terry, I forget his name, and like first, or I think second round, he walks out and just does a flying knee and knocks him out, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Um,
Yeah.
and went and checked it out and was like, "Oh, this is cool, like totally different." I'd always wanted to wrestle in high school. I just never ended up doing it. And before
Yeah.
that, like as a kid, I wanted to box, and my mom was always like, "No, you're not going to do that." So I always had, I guess, that kind of interest in combat sports of some kind, and like
Yeah.
didn't know anything about jujitsu, like about boxing and wrestling, like back then, 2005. So UFC is
Yeah.
just starting to kind of become popular and blow up, and jujitsu is like this new thing, and I went in and took a class and was like, "Wow, this is cool." And I wasn't getting punched in the
Yeah.
face, so that was even cooler.
Yeah. I was my stepdad got married to my mom when I was almost 10, I think like 9, 10, and he was super into boxing and Bruce Lee movies and stuff, and so he really got us into that. And I took a little boxing when I was a kid, took some taekwondo. Um yeah, I didn't know what jujitsu was either at the time, right? I wrestled my freshman year in high school, and then I found music and I got completely out of all that stuff. But uh, it's crazy that little bit of wrestling, how it kind of stuck around, and then I didn't start doing jujitsu until the boys were in high school, and it was like their junior and senior year, when
Okay.
I'd been helping them, throughout their high school careers. Um, and then it was
Did they
coming to an end, and
did they wrestle through
I was
high
like,
school?
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
they played water polo, and then they wrestled, and then they swam. So it was like all 3 winter sports, like, right in a row.
Yeah.
And they were just beasts, like,
Oh, they
I mean, they
still
still
are.
are. Yeah, they still are, but it was like, man, they were in crazy shape just from the water polo right into wrestling. Um, it was like crazy conditioning, but there's nothing really like wrestling and jujitsu conditioning is it just has to be some of the hardest stuff there is to do on earth as far as workouts go. Um, the idea that there's an active sentient human being that is in direct opposition to your will, you know, trying to prevent you from doing everything you're doing is just like slippery fish times a million, right? And it's just the craziest thing. You can't even understand it until you do it. Um, But yeah, do you still follow UFC?
I actually just started kind of watching it again when it went to Paramount because it's
Paramount,
free
yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
like I was into it pretty. I would watch it pretty regularly way back in the day, and then I just kind of stopped watching it and hadn't really been into it until what, a month or two ago, and it's
Okay.
uh
Yeah.
it's the same thing as it was before. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's funny
I
just.
love the Paramount move. I think it was the great like, that was such a great choice. I'm
Oh
super
yeah.
happy with it so far.
Yeah, no, I think it'll make it much easier to watch. But it's cool seeing it go from like when I first started watching it, kind of that's the modern era of it. You really had like that blending of styles. But it's been cool to
Yeah.
see like just all the really dominant people. It's just cyclical, like it's always changing. Like someone new is coming in and you're like, okay, they're gonna be like the it thing, but it just constantly changes, and someone unlocks the key to how to figure that out, and that's the new thing now. And it's like it's just kind of cool to see how it's continued to always change, and it's not just one thing. It really is
Yeah.
like mixed martial arts. Like if you're really good at your thing and they're decent at their thing, like the really good's probably gonna end up winning.
Yeah, I think UFC is evolves. It's like I always make jujitsu comparisons, but obviously it's a portion of that. But ostensibly, right, you have an art where a lot of people get interested and they start getting good at it and they start making it their own. The next generation should learn it faster and be a little bit deadlier, right? Like, like we're
Oh
so.
yeah.
I think it's been like. Do you ever watch any of the ancillary shows like Contender Series or Ultimate
No,
Fighter or any of that stuff?
I haven't really watched any of
So
that stuff.
I think that the Contender Series has had a massive impact on just the nature of the fights, because basically the premise of the show is they do like 10 weeks and each week they have 5 fights and the 2 people come out and fight, and whoever puts on the best performance is offered a contract into the UFC. So there's nights where all 5 winners get a contract. There's nights where one winner gets a contract and the rest just won by,
Uh,
like some lame, like maybe by points or by but it just wasn't an interesting fight. So now it's really like the game is impress the boss, right? So it's not just about winning a fight over 3 rounds, it's about knocking your opponent out in the first round, right?
yeah.
It's like highlight reel. Everybody's shooting for the highlight reel, and so it makes the fights, like, way more engaging. Did you watch the fights last night?
I worked, but I
Oh,
just
oh.
I just started. I watched the very first fight, and that was a good fight. I was like, okay, this is
Dude,
starting off really good.
I won't ruin it for you, but
All
they're
right.
all bangers, like, all night long. It's like
Mm.
good fight after good fight. There's just some crazy fights. I really like it. I like the evolution of the game. I like that, they're encouraged to be more active. I think that's what you wanna see in a competition, right?
Yeah, no, there used to be a lot of like you take him down and ground and pound, which is like it's cool, but like it's dominating in a fight. Like as far as fights go, if you're on top of someone and you're just pounding on them, like you're you're winning that fight, and it's hard
You're
to
winning,
argue.
right?
But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
you get those, and they're defending enough, and it's only a 5 minute round, and then it stops, and it's either over or it's the next round. Um, it's like it's not as entertaining as when you get more technical stuff going on and guys like really trying to just like go
Yeah.
for it and finish the fight.
Yeah. Do you, So transitioning subjects a little bit, you are, a law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Uh, End of this month will be 19 years. So just
Okay,
about the same amount of time.
wild.
Yeah. It's
And
been a
you,
it's been a ride.
yeah, I was gonna well, that because that was kinda where I wanted to go, like, do you how you see all these videos all the time, right? Where people are going, "Oh, that shit doesn't work in the street," like, "You can't use jujitsu, that stuff's fake." Like, g yes or no? Like, you're out there, right? You're in it, you're seeing it. What
Yeah.
is it effective? Is it effective in the street?
So I've only like really had to use jujitsu like a f- a very small amount of times. Like one time I can really think of, and that was more controlled than like I'm not gonna be out there and armbarring someone, or unless it's like some extreme case. Like if I'm about to get
Right.
like killed, I'm gonna break their arm, choke them out, do whatever I have to do. But for
Sure.
the most part, it's the control aspect of things. Um,
Yeah.
and I just haven't really been in a ton of situations where I've really had to use it. Like you have people struggle with you, and it's more about just getting control of their hands, or you get them on the ground. And I guess when they're on the ground, I really do use it because I'm really trying to isolate something and control it, like a hand, or
Yeah.
if someone else is there, like I fully focus on one arm and let my partner deal with the other thing. And it's like, it's so different, but it's still the same concepts, I guess, that you do in a normal role. But really, like
Yeah.
what has been, uh, you do use a lot is just the comfortability with it. And that's not to say like, hey, I know I can kick anyone's ass that I run into. Like totally not the case, but I'm just very
Right.
confident in like um what I know I can do, and kind of what people are doing. Like you don't have a lot of trained people who really know this stuff, who are then going to um get into trouble like that. Like if you have the
Sure.
discipline to be training consistently, and know how to fight in whatever sense, like you're probably not doing something to really get in trouble. And then when you run into those people, like you kind of know, like someone who trains something, like people just kind of put off that vibe. And so
Sure.
for me, it's just been like keeping me grounded, and always knowing like, hey, anyone can kick your ass any day of the week. So I just trying to keep myself within the boundaries of like what I can handle, and stuff like that. So it's just kind of
Right. Yeah. For
keeps
sure.
me mindful of things. It's more that aspect than like the really technical aspect of it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Um, yeah, you don't see people throwing a lot of arm bars or doing Imanari rolls or things like that out in the
No,
street.
so
Um,
it's 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 funny. When I first promoted, some of my guys got into a scuffle with this dude, and um, one of the guys had trained a little bit, and we get out there, and I'm like, okay, they get him in custody, and everything's all good, but I had to go out as a supervisor to like we do like an internal thing just to make sure everything is good, and there's no issues. So I'm like, hey, okay, what happened? And they're like, oh, he starts resisting. We take him to the ground, and I'm on his arm, and then I put him in an arm bar to get his arm, and then I'm like, okay.
whoa,
He didn't like arm bar him like to break the arm. It was just as like a control, I guess. They end up
sure.
getting him in custody, and it's no problem. But I then watch the video of it, and um, it like it's not a bad application, technical application of an arm bar, but what is that then doing to for the end goal is, hey, get this guy handcuffed.
Right.
And it's like that doesn't help. So it's some of the stuff is very applicable and you can really translate it. And some of it, like you have to take yourself out of, rolling in class mode and be like, okay, I just need to control
Right.
as opposed to
Right.
like, oh, I'm gonna,
I'm not looking for a finish.
yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was funny, and he got done. And he's like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. That probably wasn't like the best thing. Not that it was like a excessive force. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, yeah, that just didn't make much sense looking back on it."
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely though, especially for restrain and detain or for, like, just in terms of how people move, how arms move, like maybe not even something that you think about, but just like how to get where's your arm strong versus where is it weak? What angles can you use to make this not as difficult? I think all that stuff would be incredibly useful.
Yeah,
I was talking to John Taylor about it actually, and he said kind of the similar thing to you, right? He's had to run and tackle and figure out how to get an arm in the right place way more than, you know, going for the real, finishing moves.
yeah, yeah. No, he's had some good ones. Because he wrestled and
Yeah.
he's super good at jits and he's a decent sized fellow and he played football. So it's like we train every Monday and we do a police jits class, but
Yeah.
like every time he gets a hold of me, I'm just like, oh God, I'm going flying on this one. And it's it's
Yeah, it says I have a very similar feeling every time I roll with him as well. This is not gonna be pleasant. He's not mean, he'll smile, he's like Julio in that way, he's smiling, but,
yeah, no,
very
he's
humble
it's
guy.
not like it's not that the big brother, like, I'm just gonna crush you because 'cause I'm bigger thing. It's just there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do about it, and it's gonna happen, and he's, like, as gentle as he can be about it, but you can't stop it.
I think that alone is probably like one of the main takeaways that I've gotten from jujitsu since I've been doing it, was that first time that I rolled with Jimmy, and I've told this story before, but just like he pinned my hand to the mat, right? And then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my hand back. And then not only did I not get it back, he just kind of moved it at will wherever he wanted it to go, and then it just got worse from there, and I just sat there sort of in a, like, this horror dawning over my, whole brain, like, "Oh my god, this animal is roaming the streets," Like there's a guy out there who can move, and I'm a pretty strong guy, but that can move me like it's nothing, was terrifying. But I think that over time, what it slowly evolved into was just a comfortable and cautious awareness, right? Of number one, don't I can't I don't judge anybody's abilities by the way they look ever anymore. Right? Right? Since I started doing jujitsu, we've got like the tiniest little, unassuming people to the most giant, gentle teddy bear guys. Just all kinds of different things, right? And everything in between. But it definitely made me more like aware of what's out there in a way that I hadn't been before, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. I think a that's kind of a false sense of, security that the jujitsu community has kind of, um, put out there is, "Hey, the smaller, more technical this is for the smaller, more technical person to beat the bigger opponent," which is true. Um,
yeah.
but I had a guy that I worked at the jail with when I was very early on in my career, and he said, "There's a reason there's weight classes." And it was like it took me a long time to really like for it to soak in, but it's like even now as a black belt who's been training this long, like there's absolutely a reason there's weight classes. Like I can only do so much to someone who's a given size, even if they haven't trained at all before. Like
Right.
you know, I'm not a super. I don't compete really. I don't train every day. Like this isn't my life. I do it for the general self defense and the love of it and the hobby of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and I think people. I think that's a bad thing for to kind of champion the sport on, as opposed to like um it, you know, yes, it can help you, but take into consideration other things. Like I came to a long time ago, like it was like I'm not gonna triangle someone if I'm in a real fight with them in the street unless I have a very particular position and their body's in a very certain spot. Like if they have the ability to lift me up there, I'm screwed. If they
Yeah.
start lifting up in an arm bar, and I'm on bottom, like you've got to let that go. In a real fight,
Yeah.
like that you're done at that point. Like they're gonna smash you on your head. So I think it took me a long time to come to that and really like accept that, I guess. And I just don't like how that has been, um, you know, a slogan for the sport. Like there's a reason there's weight classes.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Even the age groups, right, to a certain extent, I think are valuable and necessary. Um, Not that you can control that, any of those things, right, in real life. But, you know, just the idea of going in there at someone that's at my belt level, but 20 years younger than me or more, um,
That's gonna be a
it's a
fight.
different animal. Yeah, it's a different beast for sure. And,
Yeah.
because of the guys that I came up under, like Jimmy and Jordan, um, those are 2 guys who are really into, uh, pressure, they're really into, Jordan especially is really into, like, starting from the worst position possible every time. Between JT and Jordan, I didn't have a choice. I just was like, I'm always going to start in the worst position possible because that's what my mentors taught me, right? Like that's how I learned jujitsu. But some of those days, man, I'm like, okay, this guy outweighs me by 80 pounds. I think I'm not going to start with him on mount today, or whatever. I don't have it. I don't have it today.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Like I get it, you go up and down and you've got waves of like when you're riding that wave of feeling good and things are clicking and you're doing well, and then you know everybody else catches up and now you're getting crushed by the wave, and it's like for
Yeah.
me that's been the cycle of jujitsu. It just kind of keeps going, and um you got to figure out where what you're doing and what you got to change.
I wonder about that sometimes, and maybe you can, touch the surface of it, but having gotten to the point where I'm at now, and sort of tiptoeing towards that black belt level, um, it's interesting to watch people who are just starting day one. Um, but I haven't had I mean, I think probably the longest experience I've had with people that didn't start at the exact same time as me is, maybe like 3 or 4 years that I've known them in their training, watching them get a little better. But what is it odd? Is that an odd feeling to watch somebody like you saw me come in, you know, with nothing except what I had learned previous in other arts, right? To the point where like I've learned as much as I've learned now. Is that an odd thing for you to adjust to, or do you think it just kinda naturally happens because it happens over the course of years?
So, yeah, it is, kind of that slow, uh, in general, it's a long, slow process. Some people, it's much faster, or they'll have, like, really big jumps at times, but, yeah, it sucks for the ego. It absolutely does, like, you train for 20 years, and you've got your black belt, and, um, sometimes it's like, I just sucked that round, and or, "Hey, that person is I I have a really tough time with that person, and it doesn't matter what I do," and, like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a good way to stay grounded and, um, keep your ego in check. Like, we're all in there to smash someone else and submit them. Like, that's the point of it. Like,
right,
that's your mission, your goal in every role. Like, you're trying to do that. Um, so it's really kind of reevaluating that, um and just realizing, like, hey, 20 years, where am I at now versus where I was 20 years ago? Like, I would
right.
absolutely destroy myself from when I started, or 10 years ago. Like, um,
Yeah,
so I feel good with my own progression, but hey, it's always an ego check. Like, it is, unless
yeah,
you're the those one-off dudes, that are just super good and it doesn't matter, then, the
hate those
rest of us,
guys.
huh? Yeah, they're
I hate those guys.
no, but those are the guys that really keep us in check as a whole, because for the most
True.
part, those dudes are so super, like, they're super controlled, and, I don't want to name names, but Jimmy, no, like, every time I roll with him, he doesn't, uh, you know, take advantage of it. He trains and he
Yeah,
works with me, and there's just a natural, like, the natural physicality that I can't overcome, but he still
right.
will work with that. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess, to answer your question, it is kind of weird, and um and tough, but it just goes back to day one walking in, like, hey, you don't know anything. You're going to get your ass kicked by someone who's smaller than you, that you think you can take, but you just got to think of that every day and come in there every day like that, even if you're, black belt training however long. There's always
yeah,
someone bigger, better, faster, stronger. Uh, that's just life.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's crazy, man. So, aside from the hand-to-hand, uh, and being in law enforcement, every once in a while, I see you post videos and you're out there doing some really fun stuff, involving, projectile weapons. Is this something you've always been into? Did you hunt as a kid? Were you or does this is all did all that come later with the job?
Um, yeah, like, I'd say I was always interested in that kind of thing, and the action of, law enforcement, military, that kind of stuff. I shot guns like once or twice when I was a teenager with my dad. Um, but aside from that, like, didn't do anything until I got into the job. And even then, it was like I'd go to the range, on my own every now and then, or, like, when you have to go qualify. But it wasn't until I got in the SWAT team that I really started enjoying it. Like, I wasn't necessarily, like, a good shooter, for a long time. Um, it just came with a lot of repetition, and now I'm pretty decent, and I'm pretty comfortable with my skills, but it was a lot of just like, hey, if I'm going to do this particular assignment, this is kind of a big part of it. I need to become proficient in it. And it was just about
Mhm.
kind of developing myself and putting the work in to be better at that. But no, I really enjoy it now, and it's super cool to see just how that part of um that skill set has evolved since I started. Like it's really come a long way in terms of what things used to be taught and what's taught now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like it a lot. It's cool. It's cool stuff.
I don't wanna get away from it, but then you said something while you were talking that I was like, "Oh, we gotta talk about that." So you're in the SWAT you're on the SWAT team.
No,
Like
not anymore.
okay, okay,
Yeah, so I promoted out of the team about I don't know 6 months or so ago. But
okay.
yeah, I was on the team for about 11 years.
Wow, what
With
got you into that?
uh, just kind of happened. So when I started in law enforcement, I started I was with two different agencies prior to coming to the agency I'm at now.
Okay.
And my dad was a cop. So my entire life, I saw him and the things that he did. He was big as a detective.
Huh,
Like most of his career kind of centered around him and his work as a detective, and that's
mhm.
kind of like what I knew and what I grew up around. I didn't really want to be a cop just because he was. I didn't. It just seemed like an easy road for me.
Yeah.
Um, and as you start growing up and you become an adult and you've got to take care of yourself and figure out your life. I initially wanted to uh, be like a video game developer
Uh-huh.
because I love video games. And then I
Okay.
found out you got to do a lot of math for that, and I was like, "Oh, that's absolutely not happening." Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
horrible at math, so I took some classes on law enforcement and was like, "Oh, this actually seems kind of interesting up my alley." Got into it, and slowly getting back to answer your question, but
Yeah, yeah, you're
as
good.
I
You're good.
as I got into the job, like the things that really interested me were Um, ge general patrol stuff, like, stuff you'd see on cops, like, that's just action, and it's fun, and it's funny, and it's cool stuff to do, but really, like, my end goal of, "Hey, I wanna do this before I retire," was becoming a detective because that's what I'd seen my dad do, and it just seemed super interesting, and, like, you've really become kind of a master of your craft at that point. And so I got into the job thinking that kind of stuff. So fast forward, um, I'm about 4 years in, end up at the department I'm at now, in 2011. It's just kind of a mid-sized department in the Sacramento area, and I see and start interacting with some of the guys who are on the SWAT team. With our department, it's a auxiliary assignment, so you do your primary duty, and then, you have if you're on the team, you train twice a month and then go to any call outs that come out, like, whenever,
Mm,
or any,
okay.
high-risk warrant services. So it's not like a primary duty, like you're still patrol or you're still detectives, and it's just an additional thing. And I
Is
hadn't
that because it's not always needed, or is it like it's just not needed enough to keep people busy full time, so or is there
Yeah,
a different reason for that?
it's g like so in this area, Sac County and Sac PD have full-time teams,
Oh,
large
okay.
metropolitan area. They get a good amount of work. Like, they stay busy doing not only just, um, call outs, but then pre-plan, warrants or other things. So they stay real busy, and there's a real need to have those full-time teams. But with our department, it's just there isn't that same type of op tempo.
Sure.
But there's enough that we want to be able to provide that service to our community where it's our officers go into it, and it's not the county or the city. And both those teams are great. Like I worked around them forever, for that my whole time in that space, and so nothing bad to say about them. It's just about like wanting to keep it within our own city. Um, and so um, I get to the department I'm at and start seeing these guys and seeing what they're doing, and it was SWAT was never really something I had considered for myself. Like I knew about it. It wasn't like, oh, what's this thing over here? Like I knew what it was and everything. I guess I just never had the confidence in myself before to at a bigger department to be like, oh, I'm gonna go for that.
Right.
And so I ended up trying out and got on the team, and it was by far like the most rewarding thing that I've done in my career to be able to be a part of that team and work all the kinds of different stuff we did and see everything that we did, do all the trainings that we did, and just really grow with that team. Like that was probably one of the biggest things for me in my own personal development, and then just career accomplishments. I was a detective also, so like I was able to check off that box, and that
Oh,
was
cool.
super rewarding and super cool to do. Um, had some really cool cases that I got to work, but it's just funny how life goes and things come up that like you don't project out, you don't think about, you just kind of go with it, and like
Yeah.
how amazing it can be for you. And being able to be on that team and have all the experience of it, all the experiences I had, just super awesome for me. I loved it.
Yeah. That's awesome. On so on another sort of angle, um, in the last number of years, especially since, COVID and that kind of thing, there's been a lot of crazy news stories and a lot of things, a lot of anti-police sentiment and, crazy stuff. The craziest things you can imagine online. Um, did you feel impacted by that? Did you have anything specific that you dealt with as a result of that?
Uh, we're where I work, we have a really good relationship with the community, so um, we were really kind of isolated from a lot of that. Like, yeah, it's going on and you see it, but we didn't have like you know people rioting in the streets in our city, and
Yeah.
you'd get people making comments and whatnot, but by that time I'd been doing the job for 15 years or so, and it's like,
Right,
okay,
comments, you're
I've
like,
heard a
"Whatever."
version. Yeah, I've heard a version of this before. Like this is nothing new. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but I don't think like if you look back over time and you look back over the last we'll take it back 50 to 75 years. Um, there's been like this isn't anything new necessarily. The unrest and the people saying, "Hey, we don't like this," and voicing that. You know, were there some incidents that were absolutely like, "Yeah, that's wrong." Totally. Like there's some incidents that I look at, and I go, wow, you don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't be doing this job.
Yeah.
Um, there's also a lot of incidents that have occurred and received a lot of scrutiny that unless you're in that moment, it's really difficult to understand it. Unless you've been in something like that, it's really difficult to understand like what's
Yeah.
going on there. You know, I don't know if you saw this, but recently in down in SoCal, they had a pursuit of he was like a homicide or a robbery suspect, and they try and uh, stop his vehicle. It goes wrong. He crashes into a wall, and then SWAT comes out, and they're dealing with the car. But the news ends up catching this angle of one of the SWAT guys who's behind the Bearcat. He's on his phone and he's like scrolling social media or something, and they make the big deal. Did you see this?
I think I saw like clips of it, and it was so the angle that I saw of it was so vitriolic that it was like, man, I can't. This is like, one too many things today, right? Like,
Yeah.
if it's the same story, but go ahead.
So the point of this is he's on this super high risk thing. Like this dude has done uh, a major crime. He's crashed. They're trying to deal with him, um, and he's back behind the Bearcat on his phone, like doing his thing. And the news helicopter captured this, and they see it, and they like zoom in with their nice camera and see him doing this, and it's like, okay, at first glance, you're like, oh, what's this dude doing? But unless you've been in a situation like this, it's really difficult to understand. Really, this dude, he's in a position where he's got, 4 or 5 other dudes um, who are dealing with something. They've probably been on this for several hours. He's got like a few minutes where he's like, all right, I'm going to unplug, decompress for a second. And he's pulling out his phone, doing his thing. If something happens, well, the other guys are going to deal with it first, and he can just go boom, put his phone down, be like, "All right,
Right,
I'm right here. I'm
right.
ready to go." Um, but from that incident, they put all this attention on that instead of like the incident
Yeah.
itself, and so it's
And
I think
why? Right?
huh?
Like, why? What why though? I mean, like, that's really the thing that I always come back to is, okay, fine. A guy was on his phone. Even a guy on his phone at work doesn't seem crazy. A guy on his phone sitting in a car at work, a police officer sitting on his phone in a car at work. Like, none of those things sound crazy yet. And then you get somebody who goes, imagine the audacity of being on a manhunt for a murderer, and you can't even be bothered to not be on your it's like that's not the story. That's a blatant lie, right? About what's going on here. And you take all humanity out of it. Now it's this caricature of a police officer, a lazy guy, right, sitting in a special forces vehicle, you know, playing on his phone, or I mean, who knows, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Um, but why? Like that stuff to me seems way more divisive than it does helpful. Right? It's
No,
like
absolutely. It's it, it's the to it's the that's kind of the what we're in now with news and the immediate access to information, and
uh
um it just makes for this this situation where like you've got people taking one side or the other, and people not wanting to be in the middle. Well, I think most people are in the middle. I think most people are pretty reasonable and like they lean one way or the other. But you got the people on the loudspeakers who are way out here, and they're on one side or
yeah,
the other, and they just
yeah,
push that, and this side pushes that. um, and everything's now and it's immediate. And I
Yeah.
still think like we as a society are adjusting to that. You know, I'm an '80s kid, who was off running in the fields and out
Same, bro.
riding bikes and skateboards and getting dirty. And yeah, we had a
Yeah.
TV and maybe a Nintendo, but other than that, like, you were just active and doing stuff. And now it's so different. You have people who have that's all they've known, and you have people who have grown into that, and it's like really trying to figure out how to use that responsibly. And the people who hold that power, the media and stuff like that, I, I don't think they're necessarily using it responsibly as a whole, especially on the a large scale. I
Yeah, I
think
mean, there's no
that's a
because
big
there's no
part of
way
it.
to enforce it, right? There's no way to enforce people using it responsibly. It's the freedom to make your own choices leaves you, with the opportunity to make some really bad ones. I and I don't, obviously I'm not an advocate of brutality of any kind, right? I'm a people person and
No,
I want to see people
absolutely.
get, I want to see them get along. But I think that's uh, I think it's incredibly difficult, with the speed at which it's advanced. Like you were making reference to, we had a Nintendo or whatever. Because I think it was like high school before I got a pager. My mom had a big old bricky cell phone or whatever, but I didn't get a cell phone until I was like 19 or 20, I think was the first one. Um, and at that point it was not a smartphone, like it was stupid. Like even texting,
One
yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
you're
Yeah,
hitting, 111-55-777.
yeah, the T9 texting. If you've never done it, like I remember at one point being like, text messaging this is the dumbest thing ever. No one's ever going to get into texting. This is stupid. It's the dumbest way to communicate. It takes forever to type out a message. I might as well be sending a telegram. Like what is happening here, or a telegraph? Like um yeah, just the craziest thing. And now it's like you can't get your face away from it. Actually, I don't know how up you are on movies, but I just watched a movie that got released recently. Um, I think it was called "Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die" or something like that. It's got a real weird name, but it's about it's about this guy who uh he figures out a way to travel back in time, and he's trying to warn these people in a diner that there's a catastrophic event that's about to take place and AI is going to take over. And so the whole thing is them fighting their way through this. And then and it's all about just how they use the cell signals to turn people into zombies, and that's a weapon. It's like a really crazy, like, quirky movie. Sam Rockwell's the main character, but it's also absolutely frightening. Because it's like entertainment, at this point, is really just a reflection of what's actually happening, and so you watch these movies and you're like, yeah, this is on some level, this is happening, right? That's an alien, but he represents something that's actually happening in the world right now. um I don't know, it was a really kind of a trippy movie. You should check it out if you get a chance.
I'll have to look for it. We're
Yeah,
always looking for
yeah.
something good to watch. But I think all
Bro.
that kind of stuff is, it's a, um, it's satire to some degree, but it's like you're putting an exclamation on where we are right now. And, is it that extreme? No. But is there something to take from that? And I think, yeah, for sure. Like, um, the more
Well, dude, just like, do you ever watch the show Black Mirror?
no, what's that on?
It was on Netflix. I canceled my
Uh-uh.
Netflix, I don't have it anymore, but when I had it, um and it's a sci-fi show, that they actually had to the the producer of it, they had to stop making it for a while because the episodes like real life was catching up to the episodes too quickly. And it's a show really that's like about the bad things that could happen as a result of the innocuous technology that we have control over how much we use, and then we end up in these addictive patterns, right? And it's
Yeah,
what's the end result? How far down the road does that go? And then they finally went, "Man, we gotta take a break. Like, this is real like, this stuff is really happening."
we're writing the
Uh,
future.
yeah, it was and it's black, right? Like, it was meant to be like Black Mirror is like a dark reflection on, you know, on
Reality.
reality.
Yeah.
Um, but just a wild show. I watch that stuff. I've always been into sci-fi, but I watch that stuff and I'm like, "Yee, like, this does look like what's really happening right now. This is kinda wild."
Yeah,
Um,
you 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 just sometimes, like, when everything, it just seems like it's, like, closing in, that's when you just gotta unplug and be like, "I'm gonna focus on, like, what's right in front of me and um, what's real right now, and not worry about that next thing." Like, if you're always worried about, like, what's coming and this, that, and things that I have no control over, that absolutely, that's gonna overwhelm you pretty easy, but I
do you
really try
think
to
that,
just go ahead.
like do you think that as much as you are interacting with the public, that it's helped sort of cool you down on some of those, like, hyper sensational news stories, like, that you watch the news for 2 minutes and you're convinced that your neighbors are marching up your driveway with pitchforks right now, and then you go outside and it's like the people on the news that they're telling you are your enemy, they're like, "Hey," they're holding the door for you, or they're, smiling at you when you cross the street, you're like, "Well, that doesn't line up." Right? Like, you're out there in the public and in a lot of cases dealing with, someone who maybe has fallen on the other side of a law or something like that. Has that been helpful, do you think, in shaping your what's real versus what the perception is?
Sure, like, like I said, I think most people are really, um, pretty normal and pretty close in values and beliefs, and you're gonna have variances to that, but I think for the most part, we're all pretty, in step with each other. Um, as far as dealing with people, like, yeah, there's absolutely some evil people out there. There always
Sure.
have been, there always will be. Um, but most of the people I that I've come across in the job who have, committed crime, done something wrong, like, it's just normal people who've made a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, you have your group who, like, that's what they do. They're criminals and that's what they're gonna do, and you really try and put extra focus onto those kinds of people. But, most of the stuff you go to is just normal people that, like, hey, life got ahead of them that day, and uh, that
Yeah.
sucks. Like, it's not
Yeah.
fun to have to do that, and be like, "All right, well, I'm gonna take your freedoms right now. I'm going to do something that is gonna affect you for however many years, or the rest of your life." Like, it's,
Yeah.
you really kinda get empathy for people, and, like, um, we're all we're all people. I can go and make a mistake that will, uh, change things, tomorrow. I just do everything I can to not do that kind of stuff, but it
Yeah.
happens, and so I think for the most part, like, people are good. I mean, how many people do we have? Like, what are we up to? 7 or 8 billion people in the world
Yeah,
now, and it's
something
like,
like that. Yeah.
Um, if everything were really that bad, I think it would be in your face more and you'd be having to deal with it more. But like things are pretty normal as they've been for the rest of my life before this moment. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
stuff changes, but it's all like there's an order to it that kind of keeps going.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful, man. I think that's a really encouraging perspective that I certainly appreciate. 'Cause I think I feel the same way. I think, you know, circumstances or mistakes can really affect the trajectory, but, you know, I think it's a good reminder that even if someone is passionately in opposition to your beliefs, that doesn't mean that they're not a good person, right? It it doesn't mean that you're enemies, right? I think it's such a like right now, especially I feel is such a crucial time for us to embrace that sort of ideal that we need to really be clinging to our fellow man and trying to help each other and be there and support as much as we can. And maybe if more of us were doing that, maybe less people would find themselves in those circumstances where they have to make a tough choice that puts them in the wrong side of things. Um Maybe we could avoid some of those long-term consequences for people. I don't know.
Yeah. uh, For me, like I try and ask a lot of questions when I'm presented with something where I'm like, "Oh, I don't get that. I don't agree with that." It's like, "Oh, hey, tell me like what do you mean? Like explain that."
Yeah.
So you really understand where they're coming from. Like um doesn't mean I always end up agreeing with what they're saying, but at least I'm
Sure.
like, "Okay, I understand that they're not just like being a dick to be a dick, like they can at
Right.
least formulate something that makes sense and, is a rational thought, and I'm like, "Okay," and, sometimes it changes my perspective on things, and I'm like, Okay, yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way."
Yeah.
I think more people, are like that though than we want to give credit to humankind for, like, I,
Well,
uh,
it's an
I
argument, though. It's an argument, right? Because the problem is that I think we wanna believe that, and then we turn on the device and we're told, "No, no, no, that is not the case. That person actually is your enemy. The person who thinks differently than you actually is your enemy," right? Like, don't get along with them. You guys have a problem. They hate you, actually. And then I go outside and I'm like, "They don't hate me." Like, that person doesn't hate me. That person probably loves me, like, right?
yeah,
We've been talking lately about how you can literally spend a decade on the mats with someone and never know how they vote, right? Like, like, how did that become a crucial issue all of a sudden, right? Like that,
no, it's,
our bonds of brotherhood are going to be destroyed
I
because we're
think
talking about politics. Like, what?
yeah, I think politics has, in my whole time of doing jujitsu, I think it's come up, like, twice when I'm at the gym, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it just, like,
Sorry,
people don't
I'm just kidding.
n no, no, I don't I don't even think it was you. Um,
I'm just kidding. I was just kidding.
but it's like, jujitsu is, it's such a funny, space, like, you have people from all walks of life in there, and, like, you're all there to do this try and kill each other basically, but you're all happy about it and enjoy being there. Like, I have people who I've known from jits for, like, years, and somehow it'll come up like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a cop," and they're like, "Oh, I had no idea," and it's just, like, this this space where, like, all of the bullshit just kinda doesn't He just stays out of there. It's like an
Yeah.
escape. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. I love it. I was thinking, man, there most of the people, um, like every once in a while, Julio will go, "Hey, did you talk to so and so?" And he'll say a first and last name, and I'm like, I've never heard this last name in my life. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea what most of the last names are in the gym. It's just I know them either by their name or if they're pre-blue belt, I just know them as that white belt, and then I have to physically describe them, right?
Or that one who goes really hard. Yeah, he's good. He's gonna be good.
He's like, "Well, that guy's good." Yeah, that's super funny, man. So what's
Yeah.
next? What's next for you? What will you do
Oh.
next? Where's life going?
Uh.
What do
Huh?
you wanna do? If you let me go. I'll do this. Uh,
Okay.
I like to ask a question, near the end that I stole from, one of the real estate guys I used to work with, Michael Valdez, and he asked this question, I think it's so great. If you were writing the book of your life, what is this chapter called?
I would say uh Prelude. I spent, my whole life figuring out what I want to do, what I want to be, and then it was about working towards doing that and doing well in that. And I'm at a point in my career now where I did everything I set out to do and more. Like I'm super happy and content with my career. And I got to a point where like I just wasn't enjoying it as much and needed a change. And so I ended up promoting um, to make that change, and it's been a good choice for me thus far. But really, in that process, it was like, okay, I've got less than 10 years until I retire at this point. What does it look like after that? And um, I don't know. Now it's just kind of taking care of my responsibilities at this point and setting things up for what comes next. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know I want to do stuff for me and stuff that's like just enjoyable and peaceful. Um, and I think I'm laying the groundwork for that. And it's just a matter of a little bit of time at this point, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good, whatever that
Yeah.
is, whether it's like, you know, just teaching at JITS or whatever. But yeah,
I love
it's kind
that. Prelude's such a great word, right? It's so full of, like, the promise of what's coming, that something's coming, right?
yeah,
And even if it's not defined, I love the words even that you were just using to describe what that's gonna look like, peaceful and enjoyable and, I mean, just, like, obviously, that's what we all want, so to be in that place where you're coming to the end of a career and calling that your prelude, I think is such an interesting and beautiful way of looking at, like this chapter really is just setting up the next chapter, um, which is cool. I like that. I like the hopefulness of it and the I think that's an optimistic way to look at it, right? There will be a tomorrow. I think that's fascinating.
yeah.
Well,
It's I don't want to. I don't want everything I've done to i- be, what I am. Like I've enjoyed the things I've done, but I r- I really enjoy like the moment, um, and I get excited for things that are to come and whatever that is. And it's like I've been lucky enough to be in a career that's financially able to support me and my family, and be comfortable, and so it's how do I leverage that to do the things that I want to do, and um, you know do things that are enjoyable, and really, like I said, like I've dealt with so much conflict in the last 20 years. I just want to be at peace, and like have peace around me, and like not have conflict. Just looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. The name of the podcast is Sweeter After Difficulty, and, I think that captures the essence of what the whole thing is, right? Is we do sometimes the steps we have to do or the difficult thing to get to that place, and the sweeter can look like whatever. But I think that in general we all agree that sweeter probably includes peace and enjoyment and laughter and comfort and and people we love and things that we love to do and all that stuff. And man, I really enjoyed this conversation. I realized now, actually, since I've been doing the podcast, I realized that, like, just like we were talking about, you can spend so much time. I've known you all these years now, right? And didn't know most of the things that you told me today, which I think is maybe sad, but it is really cool. So, but you're such a good dude, and I always am happy when I see you walk in the gym. You're one of those people that I know, no matter how you feel or no matter what lack of sleep you got or whatever, you showed up for business. Like you're gonna come on the mat. You're not gonna sit on the wall. You're gonna go out there. You're gonna go crazy, and you're gonna at the end of it, we're all just dead. And you're like, I can't believe I did it. And I'm like, well, I can. Now I know this about you. You're here to play, and I always just appreciate it. So just grateful for you and your time today, man. Thank you so much for this. I know people are going to get a lot out of it.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm just a normal dude like everybody else. Um, I, however, have a different thought when I see you either walk in, or or when I walk in. It's an immediate like, oh God, this is gonna hurt, because I know that you're gonna bring it every time. Um, but no, I really do appreciate you having me on, and it was a good talk. And yeah, no, I like what you're doing on this. Just
Thanks, man.
keep
Thank you.
messaging uh, the humanness of all of us. Like, it's all the noise is it's just noise. Like, the extremes are the extremes, but that's not most of us. So, just
Damn.
be good to each other, and yeah, and
I love it.
I'll see you next time I see you. I don't know when
Next
that'll
time I
be.
see I'm gonna put a ribbon on it with that, man. Beautiful sentiment. Thanks, Wes. Talk to you next
All
time.
right, dude. Later.
Later. Yeah, that was fun, bro.
Yeah.